Okay, we're live. Oh, your phone adjusted. Now your lighting looks better all by itself.
Well,
It's better. You didn't
thank
have to do anything.
it's a
Well,
challenge that we have, doing stuff remotely in different locations. So it is what it is. We hear it and glad to be here.
yeah, definitely glad to be here. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We weren't here last weekend because of the 4th of July holiday, so we had some fun. I lit some fireworks with my family. Carlos, what did you do over the 4th of July?
I was with family actually. I was a little bit under the weather, but I was able to join my family and spend time with them. It's always hard because of the fireworks. All that smoke really, aggregate.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, say something, Carlos. I couldn't hear you. Let's make sure your audio is still there.
Right? Are
Oh,
we?
there you go. Okay, yeah. Good. Yes, you know that. I never considered the all that smoke, the effect it has on people who have asthma. That's pretty. Yeah, that is not good. It gets very smoky. So I'm glad you're okay, though. Well, uh, lots of stuff happening in the US. And just before we get started, just a reminder to everyone who's joining us, you're watching Stand Up Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. I'm Margot Paez, one of your co hosts on the show. Over here is Carlos Marroquin. He is an amazing grassroots organizer and the other co host on our show tonight. As always, we air at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We simulcast on Facebook and YouTube, so please hit that subscribe button. Please follow us. Please share us with everybody you know because we're here most Sundays. Try to be here most Sundays and trying to get to you the latest and on issues that matter to the progressive movement. So, Carlos, why don't you get us started?
Yes. Well, I want to greet everybody and say good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching. Thank you for being with us again. And we are just so delighted to be here because it is a time that we dedicate to the movement to be able to talk about issues that we all care about. So it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Los Angeles. I'm back in LA after traveling, going up, going all over the place. But I'm here in Hollywood, as a matter of fact, my city. This is where I was raised in Hollywood. So always enjoyed to take a walk around the streets of Hollywood and all kinds of people going, coming. It's a lot happening in Hollywood. If you ever never been here, this is a must place to stop by when you're in Los Angeles. But glad to be here, Margaret. A lot to talk about. There's so many people that are worried for so many different issues, and rightfully so. The cost of housing continues to increase. The cost of just pretty much everything, is skyrocketing. Food is out of control. The prices of food is outrageous. Transportation, just about everything and anything that you could think of, the prices have increased by enormous amount. So yes, lots to talk about. Politics, the world of politics, that's another world that's a mess in itself. We have the midterm elections coming up in November, so we do need to talk a little bit about that. Here in Los Angeles, of course, there's so many races that are taking place and so much at stake. But besides that, of course, we have the January 6th um, events that are taking place, not events, but rather the testimonials that are coming about. Some stuff is getting serious now, and we're going to see where it goes. We also have, of course, all the different problems that we are seeing. The water crisis here in California is getting worse by the day, by the minute. It's really bad situation here that will affect a lot. You know, other parts of the nation and the world because California is one of the biggest producers of food. This is where a lot of the food is exported to throughout the United States.
And not only that, I mean, there's a water crisis. We're going to make what is like a 20-year mega drought. in the southwest of the United States, but there's also fires going on. There's a fire near Yosemite that's threatening the sequoia there. Apparently, the fire is so bad that it's actually kicking up debris. And one of the helicopters that was flying over trying to help with the firefighters was actually hit by some of that debris. So, these mega fires, they end up creating their own weather. So they're really dangerous. And not only in California, but also in Portugal right now, they're dealing with a big fire out there, and there's reports of them having like 104-degree weather Fahrenheit, 104 degrees Fahrenheit weather in Portugal, which is known to have very temperature, a very temperate climate, 365 days a year. So 104 degrees uh, uh, days in Europe is, I think, a little unusual. But this is, of course, the result of climate change exacerbating all of the extreme weather events. It's kind of a probability distribution, and you just make it more likely to have these extreme weather events happen. And nowadays, in the Southwest, it's like we have fire season year round now. So, yeah, it's a not really good. Coupling that with this mega drought makes it even more challenging to address these fires, the hot weather, um, the drier climate. All of that is just a recipe for disaster, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it just doesn't get the news coverage that it deserves. We're way too focused on other things that I think are, well, they may be important, but there has to be room, to talk about climate change too, and we just don't have that room. I don't see it. So
Right.
I'm glad you brought it up, Carlos. And of
And,
course, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
and Margaret, what's troublesome is that the Supreme Court of the United States, have made some rulings that really sets everything back. And that's what's really alarming, and a lot of people are really worried, concerned about these rulings that even affect climate change. They pretty much have allowed corporations to continue to be deregulated, if you will, because that's really what's happening. Is we have a Supreme Court that is very conservative, and they are ruling for corporations. And what that means to climate change is enormous because the work that is being done, that has been done over the years in trying to regulate some of these companies that are the big polluters, pretty much are getting away with anything now because of the Supreme Court that have made some terrible decisions. So we're looking now as to some of the steps that need to be taking place to fight back. And the number one weapon that we possess, the number one thing that we can do, I'm gonna rephrase it because everything now is taken out of context. But the number one thing that people can do to fight back is to vote. And the only reason why we have these people sitting in the Supreme Court again is because they've been appointed by presidents that have won elections. And everything has to do going back to the vote. Voting is the most powerful thing that people have in their hands, especially at the local level. So yes, Margaret, there's so many crises that are happening right now, especially with climate change, that is very troublesome. But this is another reason why we need to consider November, the importance of November.
Yeah, it's important. I agree. I have some reservations about that election because I think that the Democratic Party needs to work a little bit harder on earning that vote in November. At the same time, we are certainly dealing with a situation in which uh, they that vote in November may not matter if the Republican Party has its way. So it's I don't know. It doesn't look good right now. I'm hoping that that isn't the case, but I do think that the Democratic Party needs to work harder to win over its constituents because I don't know about you, and a lot of people have complained about this, and you know, off the show, I complain about this all the time. Is like the amount of fundraiser emails that I get from the Democratic Party, and in fact, I got one recently that was from the End Citizens United PAC, and I was really surprised. I saw it at first, and I thought, oh, wow, you know, somebody's still fundraising for End Citizens, to End Citizens United. So I clicked on it, and no, it had nothing to do with Citizens United. It was just another one of those like shell packs that the Democratic Party has to raise funds to funnel more money towards the party. And it's really disgusting that they take advantage of their constituents, their voter base in that way just to raise money for what? They can't get their senators in line to pass their key legislation. So, as much as November is important and voting is important, more I think more needs to be done. And the thing is that young voters are not stupid and they are tired of seeing this happen. I think Bernie Sanders was his moment in 2016 and in 2020 when he was so close to clenching that nomination. I think that really showed young people the true face of Democratic leadership. So I don't I don't think it's enough to tell people you need to vote. I think that more needs to happen. And one of the things that the Democratic Party can do right now is cancel student debt, and they're not doing it. They haven't even mentioned it. And it was one of the things that Biden ran on is to cancel student debt, and he hasn't done it. So what are they waiting for? They're waiting for the Supreme Court to tell them they can't do it. I don't know. And yeah, the EPA ruling wasn't great. It makes it harder to find creative ways to regulate these emissions and to decarbonize. I think that that is really unfortunate. It puts it back on Congress, which is completely dysfunctional. So it it is not looking good for the climate, for the environment, for people. It we're seeing a real rise in fascist fervor in the United States. I think that that is something that we really have to take seriously because especially around LGBTQI plus people, this the violence is serious. I've never in I mean I wasn't alive when some of the most pivotal moments happened in the early struggles for gay rights, but in my lifetime I don't think I've seen this much open hatred towards trans people. And it's just I think it's really really scary, and I think that we really should take that seriously and really be aware of what will happen if those people who hate trans people especially have any bit of power or somebody in power that emboldens them. And that I think that is really dangerous, and that's why going into November I think the Democrats really need to try harder because they're really just giving it away. They're very very easily enabling some fascists to come into power in the United States. And believe it or not, fascism rises to power through legal means. They don't have to overthrow a government to do it. They often come in through an election, through democratic elections. So I think we really have to take this seriously and realize what is in front of us, and really, uh, you know, think about like I don't know, Carlos. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but when I was learning about Hitler and Nazism and how Hitler came to power, I always wondered why people didn't do anything. And I just thought, why didn't they stop him from coming to power? Why didn't they stop the concentration camps? Why couldn't they? And I think I see why, and it's because once once somebody like that gets their grips on power, it is really difficult to take that power away from them. And the Republican Party has been working for decades to build that their base and to build that power locally and to build up from there. And they have been working towards this. And now they are so close to having their grip on that power. And we don't have the leadership to defend against that. And we don't really have enough power, I think, as people to stop it. Because what really would it take? What would it take to stop it? It would take really people dying, literally getting killed to stop it, because that is the strength of the power that you're opposing. And I don't think anybody right now really wants to do that. And so I think it is that easy for a country where the majority of people don't want fascists to be in power to end up with fascists in power. So I think that is something that we should really be concerned about, because we're not that far from it, I think. And the on the flip side, it's like the Democratic Party is, they're not necessarily fascists, but the Democratic Party is definitely a power of corporations, is a party of corporations and corporate power, and they don't have people's best interest either. And they're really more like, let's have a small group of elites be in control of the country, but and then also decisions around the world. And I think that's also incredibly anti-democratic, even though they also use the means of democracy to entrench that type of power. And that's really more like a technocratic sort of totalitarianism, right? So right now we're sort of between the choice of like, do you want this to technocratic totalitarianism, or do you want fascism? And so we don't really have the very great options. So if we want to vote in November, these are our choices, and they're not that great. So unless the Democratic Party really wants to be the party of the people, the party of its actual base, then I think we are in trouble. And it's unfortunate because we have incredible crises. We do have inflation. That is a problem. I don't know like how bad that's going to get in the U.S. The energy crisis is definitely getting really scary in Europe, and here I think we may not see that, at least not right away. But we do have inflation. We do have economic crises here. We have people who are unable to pay for a home, to afford a home. People who are working minimum wage cannot find a two-bedroom apartment that they can afford anywhere in this country, according to Dr. Harriet Fraud. So I think that her statistics are probably right there. And uh, and aside from that, we have climate change and we have an ecological crisis. We're polluting our environment. We're living beyond our means in the richest part of the world, and we're not doing anything to change that. Instead, our rich leadership is really undermining the process of doing the right thing for the rest of the world, especially the global south. So yeah, it's we're at a time where we need global cooperation, and we're about, it seems that we're on the precipice of seeing democracies fail around the world. Carlos, I've been chatting to give you time to do what you're doing. I don't know if you're back.
No, I'm trying to share this. This I was connecting my computer. Unfortunately, my power was going out. So, anyways, you are 100% correct in all these things. Now, this is why a lot of people are so pretty much uh, they have little faith in elections because over the years we have seen some, uh, Democrats promise so much and deliver so little. We are in trouble because we really don't have supermajority. We never did, or I should say, Democrats never did. They never had supermajority. On paper, they do, but outside of that, as we have seen with Manchin and Cinema, they centrists, which are uh, more red or more aligned with Republicans, have control, and they have managed to pretty much stop any significant changes that are needed. So people going to vote this coming November is going to be very important. But the problem is, as you have stated, that the candidates that we have are so weak, and they have not, Democrats have not engaged in planning ahead of time. They've been just reacting to everything. And that's a major problem that may cost them comes November. I think that the only thing that they have going for themselves right now that is positive, and I'm going to say positive, you know, with, I mean, the word itself, is very, I'm going to say, what they have right now, let me put it like this. What the Democrats have right now with the January 6th committee are the only thing that they have going for themselves, but it's not enough. They're hoping that they are going to, bust Trump and some of his allies, and that's what they're pinning November 6th election on. That a lot of people are going to say, "Oh my God, Democrats have been good all along." That's not good enough. People are looking for policies. People are looking for something. People are looking for something that is that they can actually hold on to. Right now, they're offering nothing. Again, the January 6th committee investigating what happened on January 6th, they are going to come out with, they're exposing a lot of things that happened. Will that be enough to carry them in November? Will that be enough to hold on to the Senate? Will that be enough for them to hold on to the House? That's to be determined. And right now, the way it looks, it doesn't look good for them. It doesn't. So the only thing that they have going for themselves right now, I repeat again, is January 6th committee. And this is delicate. It's not something that they could hold on to. And as you can see, Trump is already all over the United States campaigning for his people, for his supporters. What are Democrats doing? They're fighting each other. They're fighting the progressives that are trying to bring good, solid ideas. They want to stick to the same old politics that are right in the middle, that do nothing for us and doesn't inspire people. They offer the same old thing. A lot of talk, little action. Here in California, we should be leading the way in creating housing for the people. There's a surplus right now that the state of California has of 100, I believe it's $1 billion.
Let me check. It
If
is,
I'm
it is
taking,
a lot, but yeah,
that number is astronomical.
yeah, 98 billion surplus.
$98 billion surplus, $100 billion that they have surplus.
Yeah.
They should be doing something significant that will blow people's minds, so to speak, right? That will say like, wow, that's leadership right there. Can you imagine if they all of a sudden they announce that they're doing, major construction, not but for the year 2030, 2050, like they always say. They always give you a date when they're gonna do things. By the year 2030, we're gonna have 20,000 new units built. Well, by the year 2030, you're already gonna have, 50,000 more people living in the streets. So you pretty much what they do is insignificant. It's nothing. They need to do something that is aggressive, something that will blow people's mind, if you will, right? Something that makes people go, wow, this is very inspirational. We want more of this. But what we have right now is nothing but band-aids. A lot of the moratoriums that were put in place to keep people in their homes are expiring, coming to an end. People are worried to death because they're gonna be end up living in the streets. For a long time, yes, Democrats push for $15 an hour. People don't even want $15 an hour right now because that's not livable wages. You need to create some really, really programs and policy that lifts people out of poverty. Nothing is trickled down. If you are waiting for trickle down economics to work, it has never worked. And that's exactly the same thing that they're selling us with housing. That's the same thing they're selling us even with food. They hope that everything after, everybody's being bailed out, through the pandemic. They're hoping that something falls off the table. Nothing is falling off the table. You see what's happening with the airlines right now. Airlines got bailed out, but look at the mess that they're in right now. They don't even want to pay their employees, good wages and benefits. Alaska Airlines just announced that they are considering taking away some of the amenities that they have for the employees because they lost a case in court that forces them to have to give the employees here in California, breaks by the law. So now they're saying they're considering closing some of those centers that are dedicated for their employees. That's the kind of stuff that we need to fight back. And Democrats should lead the way, but they're not doing it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Starbucks as well. That there have been incredible successes with unionizing stores across the country, Starbucks stores across the country, and now they're retaliating against the people who have unionized, and it's just union busting tactics, threatening benefits, threatening to close down stores, things like that, and they've also said the same thing. Like, where's the Biden administration? Are they going to come out and support these unions? Because Biden has claimed to be pro union, and he's brought people who have tried to unionize at Amazon up to the White House, right? And so now they're saying, all right, let's make good on this. What are you going to do to stop Starbucks from doing what it's doing? What are you going to do to stop the airlines from doing what they're doing? The only person that I've heard actually speak up against the airlines, because they've been a complete disaster as of late, with all of the bad experience that people have having with canceled flights and other delays, and then the only person speaking up about that is Bernie Sanders. He's the only senator or person in the Democratic Party with enough of enough celebrity that is actually saying, hey, airlines, you need to stop doing this. You need to do this and this.
Yeah,
And that's it. Like, that's it. That's the only person that's actually there, still struggling to 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 do good for the American people. It's still Bernie Sanders, unfortunately. And Carlos, I think it was David Sirota recently. He worked on Bernie Sanders campaign, and he's a journalist. He was saying, you know, there was a Democratic president in the 40s who won 4 times. He was so popular. He was elected 4 times. And the Democratic Party today refuses to even try to bring back some of those policies that made Franklin Delano Roosevelt so popular. And it's
exactly.
and it's also why Bernie Sanders was so popular, because in the end, despite him describing himself as a democratic socialist, his policy platform was just an FDR New Deal for the 21st century kind of platform. And that's all people really want. If you really want to win, and you want to win across party lines, you got to give the majority of people what they need and what they deserve.
Exactly.
And there was only one person who was willing to do that. That was Bernie Sanders. And they did a very good job keeping him from winning in 2020. So, what is the what's the Democratic Party going to do if they're not going to do the most popular thing possible, which is to lift people up and lift the poor people and the middle class up from the disaster that they're sliding toward right now.
Exactly. And look, again, leadership requires for you to take action. And this is exactly what they don't do. They freeze. They literally freeze. As much as I wanted to like Governor Newsom, he has failed time and time again. Right now, he's he spent so much money in creating some ads, that are being aired over in Florida. For crying out loud, Governor, fix your stuff at home. Don't worry about anybody else. I want to see leadership here in California. That's what they want to see.
Yeah.
But you get into this childish, stunts that they pull, and I see what he's doing. He's trying to position himself at a national level because he's already thinking nationally, being able to become, a president. That's his goal. But
Garcetti too.
don't fix California, you have nothing to brag about. You could have $200 billion, you know, in the bank. Just like right now, he's got $100 billion. But if you're doing nothing with it, it means nothing. People want to see good policies. They want to see action. They want to see people off the streets. They want to see, what are they going to do regarding these gas prices? They're still debating how much money people should get.
Really, I
I think
thought I
it's like $400 or whatever, but we're talking about October or November.
$400. I mean,
People need it now. You're doing exactly the same thing that Trump did during the crisis. They waited months after the crisis while people were starving, while people were not able to go to work. Why are they waiting so long? Take leadership. Do something now. That's what people need. That's the kind of leadership people need to see. You
yeah,
have, here in California, Governor Newsom has super, super gigantic majority. There's no excuses. Get it done. That's it. Get it done. Move forward.
yeah. What excuse do you have at the state level, right? I mean, clearly, the federal level, it's just it is what it is. It's just a disaster.
Here's
But at the state level, there is no excuse.
a good one. State Senator Sidney Kamlanger, proposed a bill that will actually pay incarcerated people minimum wage. We're talking about something that a bill that was so positive at so many levels. First of all, you will end any form of slavery that exists, of people that are incarcerated. That's a form of slavery. When you make them work and you pay them 35 cents an hour, 35 cents. If you're not paying them, if you paying them that much, you are a slave owner. That's what you are. You're slaving the people. So she proposed a bill that will actually raise the minimum wage to a minimum wage for those people that are incarcerated that do work. Here's the positive thing that it will do. I mean, so many things that it will do at so many different levels. But it takes leadership to do that. Imagine if your person is incarcerated and you now are able to pay for your child support because now you're getting paid money. You're able to put some money in the bank so when you get out, you know what I mean? You have money now that you could go rent an apartment or buy yourself a car and be back, trying to build your life back up. But with no money, guess who's going to end up paying for all that? We are. So not paying a minimum, at least minimum wage, you're not winning, Governor Newsom. And by the way, I say him because he's the one that blocked it.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
But here
yeah.
we are. There are things, there are policies that can be pushed so that people actually can win and people can get inspired and people can come out and vote with all the good intentions because they know that the people that they voted for, have their backs. Right now, it's hard to say that. If you stop the average person on the street, someone that you just randomly ask them what they think about politics, what do you think they're going to tell you? They hate politics. They hate politicians. They are not inspiring anyone.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that should be a no-brainer, I think. But I can hear the opposition argument. Oh, but if you pay the minimum wage, they'll just keep breaking the law so that they can get a job through prison, and that's a government handout. I mean, you know, that's the ludicrous of the that's how ludicrous our national dialogue is on any of these issues. But I think that people really don't realize that it's actually it actually saves money to take care of your population, of your citizens, than to just treat them like crap or to enslave them. It actually saves money. It's actually better for the economy to have healthy and happy people. But that's just not how Americans in charge think anyway. And I think it's really unfortunate that our society has become so anti people, really. I mean, it's this like idea of every person for themselves, and you can't we really have lost a sense of community in this country, and we've been atomized down to the most minimal minimally sized unit of one person. And outside of that, you know, there's nothing for you. Everybody's in competition with everybody else. It's a free market of humans in this market society, and that's really a really horrible way to run a society, especially when there's plenty of evidence, scientific evidence, that supports the idea that people actually do better when they share, when they work together, and that people have actually evolved to do that. So our society, our economic system, is actually going against our own evolution. And one of the keys to survival is to share, is to care, and to be in a community that does that. That's sustainable. And unfortunately, this is not good for the long term in terms of how our civilization is going to do in the next 100 years or so, because we're going to find out that this is not, well, we already know that this type of economic system is not sustainable, but we're really going to find out what that means. And we're going to find out whether or not our our civilization survives it. And I don't know. We'll see. It's not looking good right now in the long term, but hopefully we can still change that, and the future is not written. So I'm hoping, I'm still hopeful that we can come together and build a new society out of this one, where we don't send people to prison and enslave them, amongst other things that happen. But it's good that you point out that you call out Governor Newsom, Carlos, because he's not the only Democrat in California who has their eyes on a bigger prize and are really using their position in the state as a stepping stone to get there. uh, Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, another person who did that and basically just picked up and left and really didn't do much in the end for Los Angeles. So I think that's really unfortunate. I think the state deserves better and people here deserve better.
I mean, the level of poverty that people live in, when there is so much, is beyond belief. They take care of the usual people, the ones that have. Those neighborhoods are super clean. They have all the services that are needed. They have, they are very secure. In the most part, they are mostly secure. If something happens, they immediately have a great response there, and they bring any kind of resource available to be able to take care of them. People are tired of that. People are really tired of that. When we look at the level of poverty that people are living, is disgusting because we have so much. It's not like we don't have anything. The problem again is because politicians, they're scared to stand up against corporations. Corporations have too much power. And this is exactly what has happened and why we have, the kind of politicians that we have is because they have been handpicked by corporations. Their campaigns are financed by corporations. And that's exactly what we get. And I understand how people feel that what's the use, and they throw their hands up in the air because nothing gets done. So everybody like, oh, forget it. You know what I mean? Forget politics. I'm not going to vote. But this is exactly why, we go back to the mess that we're in because, we are not pushing as people. We should be demanding more from our politicians. And it starts at the local level. And this is why I'm so excited what's happening here in Los Angeles. Because right now we got some progressives that are coming on to City Hall. We have a potential for another one to be elected also comes November. Hugo Martinez. He's on District 13 going against Mitch O'Farrell. Hugo Soto Martinez, that's his name. And he's got a chance of winning. So, but there are others. And this is exactly what happens when people, get behind a candidate. But it's not enough to vote for them and get them elected. As I have always said, you get them elected, but you have to stay connected. That's the most important part right there. Yes, you get him elected, but you have to stay connected. That means you, not just the politicians, not just saying, here, go, you know what I mean? We got your seat, now you're elected, go do your thing. No, we have to keep the pressure on them. They have no problem coming to our homes asking for donations. We should have no problem going to their homes asking them to represent. And that's the kind of conversation we need to have them. And ask them to, would you be willing to put it in writing? This is what I'm willing to do for you. But we're going to have a contract. We're going to have an agreement that if you if you get our support, this is what we expect from you. Sign it. Because that's a contract. And this is the reason why now we are able to say, this is why we're coming against this politician, because they didn't live up to their commitment. And we have it in writing. I mean, we got to get smart to put the pressure on them. Do whatever it takes, but we have to keep moving. We're getting there, people.
Yeah, it's really exciting about the progressive the wins in for the Los Angeles City Council. Carlos, do you remember all the names of the people who won? I know there was somebody in District 1 who won, which includes Highland Park and that surrounding area, but I also know that there's a few others too, but I think you're a little bit better with names than I am.
Well, we have quite a few of them. This is why it would be hard for me to name them all. Excuse me. But most definitely, we have District One was one. We have a big win right there, but also there are, you know, for city controller, we have Kenneth Mejia that has a big chance of winning, and there are others. But Margaret, what needs to happen right now is people need to go back and start paying attention to their local politics because that's where it's going to be at.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think some of the things that I think that really need to change moving forward is we have too many politicians that have been there for a long time. They need
That
to go.
yes, and not and we're talking about local level right now, but I saw some age average in terms of leadership for the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. And the average age of leadership in the Republican Party is now like 61 years old because they're starting to bring in younger people into leadership. Democratic Party, it's like 80 years old. I mean, it's insane. What are they thinking? I mean, the Republicans in some ways are so much smarter because even they realize that they're getting old. They got to bring in fresh blood to take their place, to carry on their legacy and their ideas, and to see them through. They seem to have the ability to really think out into the future in a way that the Democratic Party cannot. If your leadership is like average age 80 years old or 79 or whatever, like that is insane. And there are incredible young people in the Democratic Party who could step up into leadership, and they're not giving them those roles.
Right.
And so you're absolutely right. And on the local level as well, we need younger people in these political offices. And am I even like saying younger people? Like, let's try to get people under the age of 60 in these positions. Not even saying like let's get 30 and 20-year-olds. I'm saying like please, like how about some 50-year-olds, some 40-year-olds, because we really need people who have a sense of the times and aren't stuck in this 1950s world that has been over for more than 50 years to say the least, like 70 years. But yeah, we absolutely need new leadership. And I think at the local level, the best way to bring that in, to bring in fresh faces, young people, is really going to be in these local offices, whether it's the school board or mayor or city council or whatever local office that opens up. Like you just need to fill these positions, because you'd be surprised how much progressive politics is involved in all of these aspects, whether it's like running for your water district. Even that's a progressive issue too, right? You can improve that. You can improve how those districts work, because they're also tend to be pretty corrupt as well. And and we need more progressive people in positions like that, making sure the water quality is good. We need people on energy boards at the local level. We need progressives on school boards. So it's not just city council. It's not just mayor. There's all sorts of positions that need to be filled by progressives, and these are really low hanging fruit. They're not glamorous. You're not going to you're not going to be a celebrity taking this position, but you shouldn't do it for the celebrity either. You should do it just to do the dirty work, because the other people who do it, they are thinking like, first of all, they're narcissists because they think that they deserve these positions, but a lot of them have ulterior motives too. They're trying to get, you know, cut deals for themselves and for their friends and other people who are giving them money. And we don't need that. We can really do this. We can take back our politics at the local level, and then we can try to, spread out that power amongst ourselves, amongst the people in your communities, and really create that democratic bottom up institution that we all really want. If we can do this starting at the bottom and we keep working on that and we make that our goal, yeah, maybe in 30 years we'll see the fruits of that. But that's how long these sorts of things take. Like, this is not something that we're going to start now and we're going to see the benefits next year or in 5 years. We might see something within the decade, but
Yeah.
really these are long-term
I mean,
things. Like, we're thinking like, I'm you know these things take decades to do, just like what the Republican Party did took decades for them to do to get to this point. But that's how we have to think. We have to be just as effective and just as militant and take over those those positions. And we have to be unified in that. And really, I think we really need to focus on that going forward and be less focused on the federal stuff, because I think we're going to be a little bit in trouble there. So I think it's good for us to start trying to at least take back some of that power that we can locally, and fight from there.
I think that's what's happening right now. My lights just went up, but I like it like this better.
Oh yeah, I can see you a lot better.
But look at that's exactly what needs to happen. It has to be a two-tier a strategic plan. One short term, dealing with those things that are in front of us, but then you have the longer terms. If if we are going to change policies, for example, you know, that's there's steps that we need to take in getting there. Which is not going to get there overnight. Creating and changing policies require a lot. We need to understand what we're talking about. We need to understand what the failures are of the present policies. All that takes a lot of work, but it can be done. That's the beautiful thing about it. You can change anything you want to, but you have to dedicate the time, the effort. You have to do your due diligence. We have to do a lot of research. We got to dig in. See, this is the kind of the thing that requires dedication, that it requires perseverance, but it brings results. Definitely, it will bring results.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to see some of that in Los Angeles, which is good. And we should let that inspire us, and do more of that, and really have a really strong sense of direction here, and just focus, and let's not let the stuff going on in Congress deter us from the potential that we have locally. And we can take back that power, we can work towards that and organize around that. And I think that those are reasonable, tangible goals that we can win, that we can actually achieve. We can win at these levels. The amount of money that it takes to run for these positions is nowhere as high as the amount of money it takes to run for Congress. That's an enormous amount of money. But if we run at these local level, not even talking about the state legislature, but in our cities, our towns, that's doable, and we should try to do that as much as possible. Really make that our goal, and really figure out how to do it in a way where don't we don't just replicate how local government has always been, and not just make it like rep- we shouldn't make it representative so much at the local level. The local level needs to be more direct democracy. We need to figure out how to do that. So we need to go beyond the city councils, and we need to have more people to be on these positions in city council who have an understanding of that the reality that we need direct democracy, and figure out how to spread that out into the communities, into the neighborhoods, and make their voices, the voices in the neighborhoods, in your community or your city, your town, have direct say on the legislation that happens in your towns, right? That is the thing that we need to focus on when we get into those local positions of power. Because we don't just want, what we don't want is a situation where every so many years, depending on who's in power, the direction of that of the legislation is shaped by those people, right? We want to make sure that the community, the people in the neighborhoods in that town or city always shape that legislation. And the people that we elect into these positions are really there just to bring forward the will of the people in the community, instead of we elect you to use your best, judgment to do what you think we want, right? No, we need to be the ones who go to these meetings, or locally, you can make these more local, break them down into zones in your town or your city, have these meetings where anybody can participate, and in those positions, in those places, that's where the needs are being the need of the people are being expressed, and then from there, local legislation can be developed, and then from there, then you can have like your city council representative then go and take that and share that with all the other people in the city council who are representing other areas of your city or town, and say like, okay, look, this is what we need here, and they're saying like, this is what we need here, and then reconcile it in that way. So it's actually really truly bottom up direct democracy in that sense. But we have to go and we have to win these positions first of all with this in mind, and then create this bottom up ourselves. So that's the strategy that we have to have going into this. It's not just for us to take over these positions, it's to go in there and to radically change them so that it is truly a politics of the people and a democracy of the people. So that is what we need to do as a strategy as progressives going forward, in order to make sure that we don't have this football game every so many years,
Exactly.
even at the community level, at the city level, where it's like, oh, now Democrats are in charge. Oh, now Republicans in charge. No, it's the people who live there are always in charge. That's how we have to go at this. So we have a lot of work. That's why I say this is like, we work on this now, maybe in 30 years, this is something that we're doing for the next generations, the generations that have not been born yet. This is our project. Like with climate change, that is our project. We have to really recognize that the things that we're doing now around climate change, it's not for us. It's for the children. It's for the people who are unborn so far, who have yet to be born. It's for the future generations. We have to be selfless, because it is, if we only think about ourselves, we're only going to act in the short term. So we have to really realize that all of the stuff that we're doing now is not really for us. It's not something that we will actually benefit from in our lifetimes, most likely. It's for the people who will come after us that we're doing this for. So it's time that progressives start shaping the politics in this way, and start doing things not for ourselves but for the people who will come after us.
And
I think.
that's that's a winning strategy. That's very winnable because you're changing what needs to be changed for the right reasons. Being inclusive. This is why doing things from the ground up always work, because you are being inclusive. You're bringing those people not only that are the most affected by the issues, but you including them. You are participating in a way that fresh ideas are coming up from the ground up. I always like to go when I go, when, now, especially now with the work that I'm doing, is I always like to go where the people are. I want to go right to ground zero. I want to go front line, because that's where you're going to find out, where we at with things. That's where we find out where we really at with things. Not sitting down in some desk, amongst a whole bunch of professionals that went to school and never had the idea what it was to perhaps, struggle. And hats off to those people that, came out from the ground up and went to school and put themselves to school and got educated and all that. Yes, that's beautiful. But we're talking about creating policy that that starts from the ground up. Some of the people that I hear about how they, struggled through the years and then they became somebody, right? That's beautiful. But if that one somebody continues to push the same policies, the same failed policies that exist right now, all that you've done means nothing. If you put yourself through all this and you were able to gain so much access, education, right, knowledge and all that, use it in a way that makes, in creating change, real change, not more of the same, because then pretty much what you're offering is nothing. We need real change. That means that we gotta be able to do things, out of the ordinary, outside the box. The kind of housing policy that exists right now don't work. The kind of policies that right now that we have on education, on the cost of education, they don't work because it's offering more of the same thing, putting people into debt. The kind of policies that we have right now in transportation don't work. People pay more for transportation now than ever before. That means what we're doing is not the right thing to do. It means it needs change. And we can do that because, we have so much smart people out there. But it's just that I think that people are a little discouraged. They think that, or they may think that it just cannot be done. It can be done. But we have to put our hearts to this. We have to keep trying, and then we have to be looking for those new ways of doing things. And just when you thought that they brush you aside or that they disregarded you, here you come, lo and behold, strong, ready to change the world, blowing them away. We need some more of that. I like when you talk, Margaret. I like when you express, because you're expressing from the heart. You know this, and that's the kind of things that our young people have. You guys, are full of vision for the future. We need to be paying attention to you. We need to be paying attention to our young people. They have the ideas. We need to help them get there. Drive those ideas through the halls of City Hall, through the halls of Congress, through the halls of state legislatures. Those are the ideas that bring real change. We need to be lifting our young people right now.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely need to do that. I think, uh, as some of our viewers have noted in the comments, a lot of people are very discouraged. These are really difficult times. These are incredibly sad and tragic, and just really hard to process experiences that we're having right now. And it's one crisis after the other, one tragedy after the other. And a lot of people lost relatives, friends, throughout this pandemic and continue to, and then with all the economic situation and climate change, it is paralyzing. So we really need to find a way to bring hope to people and give them something to live for, because I think a lot of people have lost a will to live these days, and young people especially are really struggling because they see climate change in action and they don't they don't see enough happening. That's the, it's like you're saying to them, I don't care about your future, I don't care about you, I don't care that you want to have the life that I had or the benefits that I have. No, and that is incredibly demoralizing. So we do have to, we do need some wins, and when we have those wins we really need to put them out there and blow them up and celebrate them as much as possible to try to encourage people and let them know that it's still possible to change things. It's still possible.
Yes. So our message tonight is to the young people. Keep going, keep pushing, keep rising, because this is your time. This is your time, and together we can accomplish a lot of things. But don't give up. I know times are rough right now. I know that it's hard to organize, but don't give up. You're the right person for this moment. You, you are the right person for this moment. There's no one better than you for this moment. Believe that. I wish I was a lot younger. I would be like, I do a lot right now as it is. And you can see I'm a little struggling with health and stuff. If I was a lot younger, it's like there's so much to be done right now. So much that we can do. Everywhere that I go, people are like, they looking for somebody to inspire them. Or they are inspiring people. I meet people, I meet artists out there on the streets. I meet people that are so talented. And I ask them, hey, so do you know that you can do so much with your talent right here? But nobody ever tells them that. No one ever invites them to come in. We are creating right now through my work, through food for health programs. We're creating a national food council. We're gonna be bringing people to the table. I want to talk to people that are working and have ideas, that are working on the issues of food insecurity. I want to know who they are. I want to know their ideas. I want to see how is it that we can support them, support those ideas. There are brilliant minds out there. They just need a little help. They need the opportunity. Let's give them the opportunity. Let's push these people to the other side so that they can start doing a lot more for our communities. If we wait on the government for them to give us something, it's never going to come. We got to do it ourselves, people. We got to organize. We got to start holding meetings. From time to time, what I do is I actually call organizers around the city and I invite them to lunch, to dinner, whatever. We sit down, we talk. And I learn a lot about what's happening in their community. And I learn in ways that I can help them. Or I learn ways that I can connect them to get help. But all of us have something to offer. That's what we should be doing. I'm excited, I'm telling you. My week right now is so packed. I got so many meetings. It's super packed. And that's besides the other stuff that I'm planning that I have to squeeze between those meetings. But that's what we should be doing. We should be out there excited, working, doing everything we can to fire up our city. And we can do this, people, and we can show politicians how it's done. Politicians should be like dying to recruit you, to hire you. But we got to show them, people. I don't want their jobs. I want to do what I'm doing because it is effective. Because we out there on the front lines, talking and working with the people. How exciting is that? And you can be a part of that too. Doesn't matter how old you are. You could be, a senior. That's okay. I'm a senior too. You could be a young people. You could be a teenager. For crying out loud, get involved, people. Get involved.
Thank you, Carlos, for an inspirational end of the show. We are over time, so we do have to wrap up. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You've been watching Stand Up Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. I've been one of your co-hosts for this evening. I'm Margot Prize, and Carlos Marroquin. He is our progressive evangelist on the show, spreading the good word. He's also the co-host. We're here just about every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Next weekend, I'm going to be on a camping trip with my family, but Carlos will be here, I think, and we'll try to get somebody else, hopefully, to take my place next week. So please tune in. Again, we simulcast on Facebook and YouTube, so please hit that like button, subscribe button, that follow button, and of course, more than anything, share us with your friends and your family, and tune in. Be here with us at that time, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you again next week. Thank you and good night. Take care, everybody.
Bye bye, buddy.
Stay inspired.